r/ask Reddit. What's something embarrassing you're willing to admit? I was watching a movie with my parents when I was 7 and heard the characters talk about porn. I asked my parents what it meant and they didn't tell me, so I looked it up on our family computer. This was around Christmas time and I got so scared I wouldn't get anything for Christmas because I looked it up. So I wrote a letter to Santa apologizing. He wrote me back and said it was okay. The next year I realized Santa was my parents. It still keeps me up at night. Honestly, I bet your parents were cracking up. Back in elementary school I slipped and fell in a watery spaghetti puke puddle. Ducker before me apparently couldn't puke into the toilet for some reason. When I hurriedly sprinted into a bathroom stall because I was yo-yoing a massive shit, the slip caused me to land on my ass hard enough that I shat myself. So I had to waddle down to the nurse's office, drenched in puke and caked in my own shit, and explain to her what the duck just happened. I was standing in line at Walmart and the guy's dentures in front of me fell out onto the ground. I didn't realize what he dropped, so I bent down to get them and saw it was a full set of teeth. I then decided not to touch them since he has to put them in his mouth. After standing back up I felt like that was rude and he might think I didn't touch them because they are gross. I changed my mind and bent back down to grab them, but as my hand was like 3 inches away I thought to myself that he definitely doesn't want me to touch them, so I stood back up. The entire time this guy was standing there watching me bend down and stand up several times. The final time I stood up he locked eyes. He gave me a weird look, then snatched them aggressively and walked away. I still have no idea if I should have grabbed them or not. It was just embarrassing having him watch me be indecisive about his teeth. I think you made the correct decision to not touch them. I don't think you'd ever shake the feeling of touching someone else's dentures. Hilarious story though. I laughed so hard, 10 out of 10. The first time I ever spoke in public was a debate competition when I was 13. I pissed myself in front of teachers, peers, opponents, other schools, judges, and any other descriptor for a person in that 200-person audience. I was embarrassed but decided that nothing more embarrassing would likely happen if I spoke in public again, and now I have no fear of public speaking. Not the recommended method, but certainly effective. When I was young, I didn't know the difference between getting laid and getting laid off. Had no idea that these things are completely different. I would use them almost interchangeably. So, when my dad lost his job one year, the next day at school I went around explaining to all my classmates, "Yep, things aren't going well at my house. My dad got laid yesterday." I audibly shit myself in a boardroom meeting once. There were about 7 or 8 other people in the room and it happened while my boss was speaking. He stopped talking and there were some gasps. I didn't know what to do other than profusely apologize and go home. Next day I apologized to my boss and told him I'd been ill. I still work at the same company and it hurts every day. This was 2 years ago. I didn't know alpacas were animals until I was 27. I thought alpaca meant made from llama hair, much like wool is made from sheep hair. I thought the moon phases were caused by the Earth's shadow on the moon. It was only when my son asked me to explain moon phases that I luckily decided to Google first so I can give him a proper answer. My first porn experience. I grew up in the country and was biking home and found an old nudie magazine that looked like it was there for at least a week. Rained on, driven on and most likely already came on. But my 13-year-old self bent over, picked it up and jerked off to it right there and then on the side of the street without even getting off my bike. Twice. I had a tendency to get super obsessive over my crushes growing up. Total lovesick, I will straight up marry you right now obsessive. I went the whole 9 yards. Extravagant love letters, I love yous, you're perfect, angsty writing in my journal, weird photos and music video montages, dreaming and daydreaming, yeah, all the cringy creepy stuff. I was a lonely kid with a lot of feelings and an emotionally abusive home life. I didn't stop until one girl legitimately thought of me as her stalker, in a quasi-endearing way. That's when it hit home for me that my idea of love was wrong, and you have to get to know someone to have a relationship with them. I used to crank one out almost every day at my fraternity house in one of the bathrooms. I thought I was being sneaky until my senior roast. If I have even one drink before going to sleep, I'm going to wet the bed. I'm a 25-year-old woman with a bladder of a 3-year-old apparently. I'm the same way. I've been trying to figure out how I can get drunk and sleep with a guy and not end up peeing all over him in the middle of the night. Suggestions? I have a scar on my penis from jerking off. It got a little rug type burn on it, and being a teenager I couldn't wait till it healed to jerk off again. So it took a long time to heal and now I have a scar. I told my girlfriend that it was from a zipper accident from my youth. My girlfriend and I became a long-term thing and I didn't want to keep the truth from her. Finally told her and she made fun of me. But now we have been married for almost 9 years now. I have a terrible fear of mixing up bathrooms. Before going in one I'll check several times is the triangle pointing down, etc. Sometimes I'd even walk out of one after a couple steps to recheck the door. And yet sometimes I mix them up. After I bungee jumped 4 years ago I am terrified of hybrids, towers and even mountains. Everything went fine but I can't shake off the feeling and I am scared that I will suddenly jump from them. I had the nickname Blue for a while. It was short for Blue Light Special because I got lost in a Kmart when on a Boy Scout trip. I was like 11. I painted my entire wiener blue with a Sharpie when I was like 6. Don't know why. It took like 2 weeks to come off. Thought it would be blue forever. During rec baseball when I was 7 or 8 I had to pee really bad. I even told my coach but he said I was up to bat. I should have struck out but I got on base. I couldn't hold it any longer and pissed my pants on second base. When I was a little kid, I used to go to ladies' washroom in my school. They were much cleaner than gents and I hate peeing outside of the stalls. So I figured why not, but one day, I saw the toilet water being filled with blood and since then, I stopped using ladies' washroom. I have smacked my face on our glass door and the side window of vehicles so many times my husband thinks I need a helmet. How it happens? Something will catch my attention. My dog's barking. Hearing the cat food bowl get knocked over / my husband pointing at something as we drive by, and I'll overly excitedly go to press my face against the glass to see. I do it every damn time. Husband also likes to find candles for me to smell in the store because I somehow smash my nose onto the wax or nearly bust my lip on the rim of the glass while I am holding the candle. I like to pick my nose. I rehearse before having important conversations. Until I was 25, I thought all apples tasted like Red Delicious. I tried a Red Delicious as a kid, hated it, and assumed that's just what apples tasted like. I was pleasantly surprised when my wife introduced me to Honey Crisp apples. A week ago I realized it's Men's Warehouse and not Men's Warehouse. I sometimes confuse right and left. Until about a year ago I thought facade was pronounced facade. I was on vacation somewhere in Spain. I was religiously working out back then. So I even got a contract for this local gym. For this 1 month. Met this girl there, a local, read, Spanish. First only small talk, then we went on some dates. First going to the pool with her brothers, later going out alone. I really liked her, and she was sexy, but I didn't dare to talk much. Since my Spanish was poor, I figured we were friends. We were out on a date, playing pool billiard after having some arepas, similar to tacos, when suddenly she puts some egg-shaped plastic container into my hand. It looks like one of those containers that contain small prizes you get from those carnival machines. You know, the ones with the claw that you operate, trying to grab a stuffed animal or whatever. If you don't win a real prize, you get a loser's prize. Think like some cheap metal flag pin or something. So we were there playing pool billiard, and she pushes this plastic egg container into my hand. I smile and say something like much as gracious and pocket the egg, preparing for my next shot. She shakes her head in protest. She gestures at my pocket. She also says something, well, a lot, in Spanish. Mostly, I understand no. I'm lost. Finally, she loses her patience, facepalms and shoves her hand down my pocket, where I keep my eggs, pulls out the plastic one, opens it. It contains a condom. I finally understand. I go beet red, I'm such an idiot. I got my first iPhone about 7 or 8 years ago. It was the 4 I think, the first to have Siri. In a hoe, I was listening to a lot of hip hop at the time and the phrase I chose say to Siri was "I love it when you call me Big Papa." For those who don't know, Notorious Big, now you know. Siri asked me if I wanted her to call me Big Papa. Why the duck not? I thought. So this event totally left my memory until about 2 years later when I was looking for an email I had sent from my phone. I found it and was horrified to learn that it had been signed off from Big Papa. Everything I had sent from my phone in those 2 years, including job related emails and even applications, had been signed off from Big Papa. This is one of the cringy stories from my past, which I have shared before, but it was probably the most embarrassed I have ever been. Back when I was in high school and I went out with a girl I had a huge crush on. We went to the zoo and then grabbed some food at some place. It was great and I had an amazing time, but we had to split up in order to get our trains that were going in the opposite directions. I awkwardly tried to lean in for a kiss, while she went in to hug me, and I ended up headbutting her in the face and her nose started bleeding. I was so embarrassed and I just asked, "Are you okay?" And when she said, "I think so," I just waved goodbye and ran into the train station. I avoided her for weeks because of this and was too embarrassed to ask her out again. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.